I have been on the streets for many years. One gets used to long journeys, loneliness, and deserted roads. I have driven in all types of weather. I've walked down streets that seem to go on forever, and visited towns that barely existed on the map. But in all those years, there is only one night that comes in my dreams and scares me till this day. I was in a cross-country haul from Arizona to Georgia. It was the last week of October and I had just crossed the border into New Mexico when I realized it was time to stop. I had been driving continuously for almost 11 hours and my eyelids were getting heavy. You know that condition, right? The brain slowly starts to become dull and before you even realize it, you start to doze off while driving. It wasn't safe at all. But there wasn't a big truck stop nearby. There was just a long deserted highway on which there was nothing for miles around. I thought I would take some rest there after seeing the next race stop. This was not an ideal solution, but I had done it many times before. Then I saw a board, "Rest stop 2 miles away." I slowed down the car at just the right time. Got down from the highway and entered the rest stop, but as soon as I got there, I immediately knew something wasn't right. This place was almost deserted. Only 2 more trucks were standing there. Their cabins, at the ends of both the parking lots, were also immersed in darkness. There was no movement. There is no light. The rest stop itself looked very old and in a dilapidated condition. A few parking spots, 2-3 old picnic tables and an old broken-down washroom. There was only one street lamp working in the whole area. That too was shimmering and in its dim light strange shadows were being formed on the ground. I parked my truck in the middle of the light. Neither too close to the other truck nor too far away. The feeling of loneliness was weighing heavy on the heart, but I consoled myself by saying that maybe I am just becoming overly attached. I turned off the engine and sat in silence for a few moments. Feeling the silence of the night around me, that silence was strangely deep. Neither the sound of the wind nor the sound of a cricket nor the slight buzz of any traffic from anywhere, just complete suffocation and always silence. Hopefully the strange sensation going up the spine from the coffee bean will go away. But this did not happen. After a few minutes I decided to take a little walk and use the washroom. Then I will come back and sleep. I took out my flashlight from my cabin and came outside. The night breeze was blowing and I could hear the ground crackling beneath my shoes. The building was in even worse condition. The door was loose from its place and there was graffiti all over the walls. I pushed the door and entered inside. The stench attacked at the very first moment. Damp and stale as if the place had not been cleaned for years. I pressed the light switch but nothing happened. I turned on my flashlight and searched for a stall that looked dirty, with broken tiles and peeling paint. As I was finishing my work, I heard the sound of footsteps. At first it seemed as if someone was slowly walking around the building, circling around it. I was absolutely stunned. The juice stop was empty when I arrived. No new car had arrived and those 2 trucks were also still old and silent. So then who was this person walking? I quickly completed my work and came out of the stall. I tried to listen carefully, but the sound of footsteps had stopped. Maybe it was a gust of wind or something. I opened the door and used my flashlight to shine a light all over it. Had nothing. Just the same complete silence and the dim light of the flickering street lights burning in the distance. I took a deep breath. I tried to control my nervousness and walked towards my truck. I was also halfway through when I saw this. A man standing near a picnic table. The bomb was difficult to see in the dark that he was wearing a heavy jacket. With his hands stuffed into his jacket pockets, his face was hidden beneath a board. I stayed at my place. My heart started beating loudly. When I got off the truck there was no one there. I could say that with absolute certainty. When I arrived there was no one else around, nor did any vehicle come. Then where did he come from? I kept my flashlight focused on him. But he did not move and just stood there. Absolutely socket. I could not see his face. But there was something in his manner, as if he was waiting for something, which sent a sensation down my spine. I controlled myself and kept walking. I did not want my fear to be revealed under any circumstances. As I got closer to my truck I looked back. That man was still standing there. He was staring at me. I quickly climbed into the cabin, locked the door and sat there for a while. My hands were trembling. I consoled myself that it was nothing. Just some passerby and maybe another truck driver. But the question was, if he was an ordinary traveler, then why did I not see him coming? And why was he just standing there silently? I looked through the window but the man was missing. I told myself it was okay, that I was just tired. I went to the back of the cabin and tried to lie down on the bed, thinking I would get some sleep, but the uneasiness that was already being felt had now increased even more. I kept thinking about the man standing next to the picnic table, staring at me, hidden in the darkness. I turned off the inside lights and lay down in the dark, listening to the insistent silence outside. I felt as if someone was staring at me. Whenever I closed my eyes, the shadow of that man standing silently in the darkness emerged in my mind. I don't know how long I lay there. But it seemed like almost an hour had passed. I was slowly going into the valley of sleep when I heard the sound of footsteps again. That time I suddenly sat up right near my truck. I grabbed my flashlight and shined a light out the window. But there was no one there, just empty parking lights, flickering street lights and darkness of night, loneliness, desolation, but the sound of footsteps continued. Now they were circling around my truck. Slow and deliberate steps. I started feeling suffocated with the fear in my back. This was not my misconception. Someone or something was really there. I heard the footsteps stop just outside my door. I held my breath. Started waiting for something to happen, but the next sound wasn't that of footsteps, that was a knock. At first it was soft, as if someone was gently knocking on the door. I couldn't do anything. Then there was a knock again. This time it was more louder than before, and in further fear and surprise I bent forward and tried to look out of the window but could not see anything in the darkness. Only the side of the truck was bathed in dim light. Then a knock was heard again, from the other side of the truck. It was as if more than one person was now hitting the truck from both sides. More than one person is now hitting the truck from both sides. I picked up my phone with shaking hands and tried to call 911. But no signal was received. I felt angry deep in my heart. Do you know how deserted that area is? Obviously there was no service to be held here. The knocking sound had become more vociferous now. Whoever was out there just wasn't joking around. He wanted to come inside. I started thinking that maybe I should open the door, go out and scare them. But my heart warned me that this would be a very bad decision. I felt like there was more than one person outside and they were just waiting for me to make a move. I don't know what came over me, but I punched the horn hard. The loud horn of the truck echoed throughout the rest house. The knocking stopped for a few moments. I waited with bated breath. Kept trying to listen to the sound of some movement. Then I heard the sound of a car engine starting, and the headlights pierced the darkness and illuminated the parking lights, and the shadows that were hiding around my truck came into view. There were 3 shadows circling around my truck. They were all dressed in black and their faces were hidden under hoods. When the car's headlights fell on him, he became absolutely alert. Then suddenly he ran away and disappeared into the darkness. I did not waste any time. Turned the key, started the car and left the rest area at full speed. My heart was beating loudly. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. I didn't even try to look back. I didn't even want to see it. I drove all night until I came to a lighted track stop several hours later. But even after reaching there, I was not feeling strong. My mind was not free from the thought of those people knocking on the door. I told this sentence to another truck driver. One of them told me that there were rumors about this race stop. It was said that this was not the first incident. People had disappeared there. The trucks were found abandoned there. In fact, no evidence was ever found. Now I never stay at such a deserted rest house. You never know who is waiting for you in the dark.